Hello everyone, today we'll be seeing how fast Gallade can beat Pokemon Omega Ruby in a solo run challenge. Let's get straight into the video. Earlier in the week, we played through Pokemon Omega Ruby with Gardevoir on stream, and Gardevoir did do very good, but although granted, I did make a couple of pretty decent mistakes. Let's see if Gallade can actually beat Gardevoir's time today. I do think it will, but I know some people have had doubts. But if you want to know why some other people have had doubts, we need to take a look at our stats and our move pool. If we take a look at our stats, we have 68 HP, 125 attack, which is okay, I guess, 65 defense, 65 special attack, 115 special defense, which is actually the same as Gallade's, and 80 speed. And sadly, just like Gardevoir, we are in the slow level up group, so we're not going to be leveling up that greatly. And if we take a quick look at our level up moveset as well, we get a bunch of level 1 moves, but the moves we actually start with are Confusion, Teleport, Double Team, and Leer. If you know this game, you can see a slight problem with this moveset. But throughout the rest of the levels, we get Quick Guard at level 11, then Fury Cutter, Slash, Heal Pulse, Wide Guard, Swords Dance at 26, which is incredible, Psycho Cut at 31, which is a very great psychic move for this thing, Helping Hand, Feint, False Swipe, Protect, Close Combat, and Stored Power. Honestly, once we get Psycho Cut at level 31, there really isn't another move we want by level up. And if we take a look at the TMs, our TM moveset is so enormous, I actually had to take 2 separate image screenshots, and for the overlay, I actually had to trim a bunch of the moves out. This thing just gets everything. Like, I don't even want to go through most of this, just no. This thing gets almost any type of coverage you could ever want. But yeah, if you wanted to know what the main problem was with Gallade's moveset, the main problem is our only offensive move is Confusion, and there is a Team Magma Grunt in the Petalburg Woods that has a Poochyena, meaning we need to get Struggle for it. My main plan is to find a Seedot in the wild by a pure coincidence, drain as much of my PP as I can before it struggles to death, and then on the next route past Petalburg City on Route 104 South, I can actually go to the beach and fight youngster Billy with his own Seedot. This Seedot only has the move Bide, which allows me to very quickly get rid of most of my useless moves. However though, the one problem with it constantly spamming Bide is when I eventually run out of my junk moves like Teleport, Double Team, and Leer, I have to resort to Confusion. And unlike Gardevoir, Gallade has much lower special attack, and as soon as I attack into it, the Seedot ends up barely living, retaliating with Bide, and it actually knocks me out, which means I have to teleport back to my hometown. And look at this, I have to drain all my power points again. Honestly, I think draining PP on a wild Seedot first was a mistake, because if anything, I should have made the trainer's Seedot struggle itself to death, not the wild Seedot. So yeah, that was very inconvenient. As soon as I end up defeating youngster Billy after a blackout, I actually pick up a heart scale on the beach in case I want to use it, but spoiler alert, I never end up using it. I don't really need Close Combat, Leaf Blade, or Night Slash. And if you're wondering why not Night Slash because you can use Sharpness as your ability, well, Sharpness is not an ability until Generation 9, so it's honestly barely any stronger than the Thief TM, which we get in Slateport, so you know what, I think I'll pass on that. But speaking of Sharpness, I need to go over our ability, Hidden Power, and Nature. Our ability is actually our hidden ability Justified. We get +1 to our attack when we get hit with a Dark type move like Bite and Pursuit. And there's a lot of Dark types in this game, so this should be a useful ability to have. And our Hidden Power typing is Hidden Power Dark, which means we're not using Hidden Power. Our special attack is not good enough for it. And our Nature is Naive for extra speed and less special defense. 80 speed in the slow level group is at that threshold where if we had had just a tiny bit more speed, we would not have needed a plus speed Nature. This Nature will actually be used to prevent a potential speed tie on Norman's second slacking. Axukairi helped me route out Gardevoir and Gallade, and this was his justification for this Nature, so I went along with it. But anyway, as soon as I drain all my power points, I can equip an Oranberry and then 2 hit the Poochyena with Struggle. And look what's very convenient. This guy, after you rescue him, he actually heals your Pokemon for you, so I don't have to heal at the center at Rustboro either. And as soon as I get to Rustboro City, I'm just going to head straight to the gym. I mean, yes, Confusion is pretty weak on this thing, but the Geodudes that are in here don't have the best special defense, so I think it'll still be okay, as long as we hold an Oranberry. So why don't we go ahead and take on the first gym leader, Roxanne. Roxanne leads off with a Geodude. I'm going to go ahead and, before I use the Confusions, I'm actually going to use a few double teams, just in case. Granted, Rock Tomb is 95 accurate in this game, so it's actually a pretty decent move. And then on the Nose Pass, the reason I went for the double teams is because this thing is going to take a bajillion hits with Confusion to knock out. But luckily for me, I actually end up getting a 10% Confuse, and it's hit itself at least once. So it actually makes the fight a bit easier. It was pretty close to death, but fortunately, I'm still alive, and as soon as I beat Roxanne, I can teach Rock Tomb, because that way, in the Rustboro Tunnel, I can just use Rock Tomb on the Poochyena instead of Struggle. And as soon as we rescue Pico, I head back to the Rustboro Mart, use all of my money on repels, and then we can head to Mr. Briney's cottage and set sail to Dewford Island. And in this day and age, we don't have to ask the age-old question of should we fight Brawly now or later, because in the remakes, you have to fight Brawly second. There's a bunch of tourists blocking Steven's room until you fight him. But here's the thing. We're a Psychic type. He's going to be an absolute joke. No intro needed. Look at this. I even one-shot his Makuhita with Confusion from this weak special attacker. See, yeah, I did not need to worry about this gym at all. As soon as Brawly's defeated, before I enter the cave and go talk to Steven Stone, I'm actually going to go around here and pick up this protein. I like picking up this protein either to A, use it on physical attackers, or B, I can sell it in Mauville to buy a TM if I need to. And there are some TMs I do plan on buying. But not only there's the protein I can pick up, when I set sail to Slateport on Route 109, I can actually go behind the soda house here and pick up a PP Up. This did not exist in the original games. I can sell this as well. These two items alone, when combined, sell for $9,800, and every TM in Mauville costs $10,000. So if I saved my money properly, I could theoretically buy 2 TMs. However, I'm just going to buy one for now. I can get the other one later. The 2 TMs I need to buy are the TMs for Bulldoze and Low Sweep. And inside of the Slateport Museum, after I chase off the Ting Magma Grunts, I can teach Gallade the move for Thief. Thief is a 60 base power move in this game. It's only 10 power weaker than Night Slash, and without sharpness, there's just no justification for going out of the way to use a heart scale. The one thing though that actually prevents me from buying 2 TMs in Mauville is because before I end up leaving Slateport, I go into the farmer's market area and I talk to this lady who sells incenses. I'm going to buy an odd incense. This will boost the power of Psychic type moves by 20%. And the only place to get a Twisted Spoon to my knowledge is by catching an Abra. So having a little bit of an extra boost to my Confusion and then later Psycho Cut is going to be a pretty useful held item to just keep on for most fights. But because of the fact I bought this, which is $9,800 freaking dollars, I'm not going to have enough money to buy 2 TMs. Which is a shame, but worth it. I also clear out the Trick House, pick myself up the Expert Belt and the TM for Taunt. But the Expert Belt will increase super effective moves by 20%. This is a general pretty useful item to hold, and because of my slow level up group, I needed the training inside of here anyway. And when training, at level 17, I actually taught the move Slash in the place of Fury Cutter. This was actually a mistake, because when I try to fight Rival 2, I can't deal enough damage to the Shroomish, I get hit with Stun Spore and Leech Seed, things go very sour, and when I eventually get to the Combuskin ends up just knocking me out from just doing nothing because I died to Leech Seed. It was at this moment I realized, wow, I really should have held on to Fury Cutter. But while doing this, I ended up coming up with another idea. I can actually just teach Bulk Up to Gallade and then set up on the Wailmer, and because of the fact I resist rollout, I could set up to +5 or +6 essentially for free. And as soon as I do that, Slash one-shots his entire team. And then, as soon as the rival's defeated, I can make my way to Mauville City, pick up the Mach Bike, and inside the mart, I have enough for 1 TM, and I'm going to buy Bulldoze first instead of Low Sweep. Looking back on it, I probably should have bought Low Sweep instead of Bulldoze, but the reason I bought Bulldoze is because the Magnemites in Wattson's gym are 4 times weak to Bulldoze, instead of just regular weak to Low Sweep. But having access to a stab move earlier on definitely would have made a difference, but either way, I need both Bulldoze and Low Sweep for parts of the game anyway, so that's fine. I end up teleporting back to Mauville after we do the Meteor Fall section, so I can just buy it then. Anyway, let's go take on Wattson. I go into the fight holding a Cherry Berry because his lead Magnemite has Sturdy, so it's always going to get off a Thunder Wave. And if you're wondering if the Magneton has Sturdy too, so I'm going to get hit with Thunder Wave anyway, it actually doesn't. That Magneton has Magnet Pull, so literally only the Magnemite has Sturdy. If the Magneton had Sturdy as well, it could paralyze me too, and then the fight would be a little bit more difficult. But thankfully Wattson in this game is not as scary as his Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald counterparts. Mainly because in those games, the only ground type TM you could have access to is Dig, and they locked that away until after his gym. The only TM in that game that you could theoretically use to get a type advantage is freaking Rock Smash. At least this game is a bit more generous with moves like Bulldoze and Power Up Punch. I bike my way north through the next several routes and enter Fall Arbor Town. I'm not going to buy anything here right now, although in this little ditch right here, I'm actually going to pick up a nugget. I do plan to sell a bunch of stuff later to buy vitamins, and then I can head towards Meteor Falls, grabbing a Carbos and a Protein along the way. And then look at this, I only learned about this recently. In these 2 craters right here, I can get a Comet Shard, which sells for $15,000, and a rare Bone, which actually sells for $5,000. It was actually Axukairi Sora who helped me plan these runs that actually told me about those items. I had no idea those were in there. But definitely from now on, whenever I play Oras, I will pick up those items every time. I mean, $20,000, that's enough for 2 vitamins. 4 vitamins if I play on a Monday. I have been trying to play on Mondays in this game, just because on Mondays, the Vitamin Guru in Slateport sells his drinks for half off. But for some reason, in both my Gardevoir and Gallade run, I tried to set it to Monday, and for some reason, it wouldn't be Monday. I don't know why, I'll need to figure that out later. Probably something wrong with my BizHawk settings. Anyway, I clear out the Meteor Falls double battle, we get teleported back to Mauville, and I can buy the other TM I need, which is Low Sweep. And then, with access to Bulldoze and Low Sweep, I am very close to getting Swords Dance by level up at 26, which I would like to have for Maxie. But the one problem though is, when I get to Maxie after beating Tabitha, I'm only level 25, which is unfortunate. But thankfully I still have Bulk Up, and Bulk Up is pretty good against this Mightyena, because Maxie's Mightyena has Swagger in this game, and you can get a Person Berry along the way and just equip it. So this fight ends up being very easy. And literally during this fight, I can learn Swords Dance via level up. And when I head down the Jagged Pass to Lava Rich Town, I will pick up the TM for Swords Dance as well, just as a backup in case I need moveset flexibility. And I won't even play an intro for Flannery, not because I'm trying to rush, but look at this. I can just use one Swords Dance on the Slugma, and then a second Swords Dance because I was being a little bit risky, and all it did was set up Sunny Day and Light Screen, and then I can just use Bulldoze to completely destroy her entire team. And look at this, as soon as I beat Flannery, I get immediately teleported back to Petalburg City. So yeah, we're going to be fighting Norman right away. And remember when I mentioned the naive nature? Everything was coming to this very point. Norman leads off with his first slacking. I go ahead and set up a Swords Dance as it uses Encore on me to force me to spam Swords Dance. Then it hits me with Yawn, but I wake up right away because of the Chesto Berry. Next up is the Vigoroth. It'll just be a one hit with Low Sweep. And then look at this, on the second slacking has 65 speed. And I have 66 speed going into 69 speed upon the level up. So if it weren't for the naive nature, I would be underspeeding or speed tying the slacking, which would have made things pretty difficult because it definitely would have destroyed me with Retaliate. Then with Norman defeated, Wally teleports us to Mauville City. We can do the Latios side quest, head our way toward the Weather Institute, and then up to Fortree City. I'm not too worried about Fortree City's gym leader Winona, just because I feel like I have a pretty good moveset for her entire team, because Swords Dance. This move literally solves most problems. Plus, look at this, as I'm fighting some of Winona's gym trainers, you may notice I now have Psycho Cut on my moveset. Having access to Psycho Cut, Bulldoze, and Low Sweep with Swords Dance is going to be very great coverage. With the same type attack bonus, Psycho Cut will have an effective power of 105. Man, it makes me really upset that Sharpness isn't in this game, because Psycho Cut with Sharpness would deal extremely devastating damage. So yeah, why don't we go take on Winona right now, shall we? She leads off with her Swellow. I'm holding the Odd Incense to give Psycho Cut a bit of a boost. I go for one Swords Dance on the Swellow as it hits me with Aerial Ace, doing about half. I would have preferred a double team, but at least I'm still alive. The Pelipper wastes time with Protect, like it always does, and then on the Skarmory, I'm going to 2-hit it with Low Sweep just because I'm going to have to 2-shot it no matter what. And during the process, it does hit me with Sand Attack, but fortunately, I don't end up missing a single time. With Winona defeated, I now have access to fly outside of battle, but I don't need to fly anywhere until I clear out the Mount Pyre Team Magma side quest. And in the original games, what I would actually do is I would set foot into Lily Cove City first, then I would go to Mount Pyre so I could fly back later. This isn't necessary though, because as soon as I clear out the Mount Pyre section with Team Magma, I have to fly back to Slateport, watch Team Magma steal the submarine, then the guy will give me a free boat ride to Lily Cove. So I actually don't need to do any of that. But before I do take the boat to Lily Cove City, I'm going to head back to the farmer's market right here and buy some vitamins. I can't buy them at half off today just because for some reason the emulator's not setting my date correctly. Maybe I left on that setting that syncs with my real clock. I'll need to look at it. Anyway, today's vitamin of the day is actually protein and iron. I feel like it's pretty obvious why we need extra protein. And having extra iron is essentially for the sole purpose of surviving more hits from flying attacks. And with the vitamins ingested, I can take the boat to Lily Cove City, completely destroy the rival fight. Granted, it does get pretty dang close. And then inside this house, I'm going to pick up the TM for rest. I generally pick up this TM in most runs, but there will be a couple of fights in the late game I will be using it, such as the Steven Stone fight if I get poisoned by his Skarmory's Toxic. Then I can clear out the Magma hideout without any problems and head towards Moss Deep City. Unlike Gardevoir, we're not actually going to be fighting Tate and Liza right away. Gardevoir was able to because it got Calm Mind by level up and it learned Shadow Ball to use its higher special attack. For some reason, Gallade does not know Shadow Claw. It's one of the few TMs that actually can't learn, which kind of surprised me. And because of that, I'm actually going to do a bunch of training in the water on the rapid routes, and I'll end it off by picking up a rare candy. I only need to be a minimum level of 43 for the Tate and Liza fight. Do you want to know something very funny though? I'm on my way to Tate and Liza, right? I'm fighting this gym trainer right here with a Claydol and a Starmie. One of the problems here is, this Starmie ends up hitting me with Confuse Ray. I hit myself in Confusion so many times that I end up knocking myself out, and because of that, I have to let all my HM users faint, and this Starmie's only attacking moves are Rapid Spin and Swift. Dude, that is so bad. Let's go take on Tate and Liza. They lead off with just Solrock and Lunatone. I'm going to use one Swords Dance as they knock out the Zigzagoon and deal half of my damage. With one Swords Dance, both the Solrock and the Lunatone will be a one-hit. I aim for the Lunatone first because I'm more terrified of that thing. Plus the Solrock mainly likes using Rock Slide. But it doesn't matter though, I one-shot both of them anyway. And with Tate and Liza's badge, I get the TM for Calm Mind. You may think there's no point to this move because I'm not really using special attacks. However though, there is one fight at the end of the game I use Calm Mind, and it's not for the reason you may think. But we don't need to worry about that right now. Steven Stone gives us the HM for Dive, we gotta go in the Seafloor Cavern and go take on Maxie. For some reason, his Mightyena in this fight no longer has Intimidate, which is pretty weird. On my way down here though, I did pick up the TM for Earthquake, which I taught in the place of Bulldoze, and having Earthquake allows me to completely destroy the Camerupt. even in its Mega form too. Plus, having Earthquake with the Expert Belt on Primal Groudon allows Earthquake to be a guaranteed 2-shot, unless of course it randomly got a plus defense nature, which fortunately I don't think it did. I did have to use a few rare candies to get to level 48 though to guarantee the range, but oh well, small price to pay for a consistent Primal Groudon. And with the world saved for now, we can go ahead and equip a Person Berry and go take on the 8th gym leader, Wallace. Wallace leads off with Love Disc. The reason I equipped a Person Berry is because this Love Disc usually likes using Sweet Kiss. However, I end up being attracted anyway, and because of that, it ends up taking multiple attempts to even knock out a stupid Love Disc. But once the Love Disc goes down, the rest of Wallace's team are no match for Psycho Cut. And with Wallace defeated, we now have all 8 gym badges. And with only 2 resets and 2 blackouts in this playthrough so far, this Pokemon is doing incredibly good, and things are only going to get better from here. Before I head to Victory Road though, I do go around the region picking up almost every rare candy. The only rare candy I know for sure I skipped is the one on Route 119 that involves the Acro bike. I didn't want to bother switching bikes, so I end up deciding to skip that candy, and it's really not needed anyway. I need to be level 59 for the Wally fight because I want to be level 62 when I get to Steven Stone. I end up picking up just enough rare candies to where I actually don't need it. And before I go into Victory Road, I make sure to re-teach Thief to Gallade because the very first mandatory trainer in here has a Frostlass. This thing likes using Confuse Ray to make me hit myself, and I almost died to this thing. But thankfully, unlike Gardevoir, I don't receive a blackout here because of it. And after this, the rest of the Victory Road trainers don't provide any problems. I can use my rare candies to get to level 59 for Wally, completely destroy his entire team including his own Mega Gallade, and then we can enter the Pokemon League. I heal up at the center, buy some full restores, and now we need to go take on the final 5 trainers. Let's do this shit. The first member of the Elite Four is Sydney, the Dark-type user. He leads off with Mightyena. I go for Swords Dance as it goes for a Sand Attack. That's a little annoying, but thankfully after this, I can just continue spamming Low Sweep, even though I get flinched by Fake Out from the Shiftry, and then Rough Skin from Sharpedo causes a bit of damage. And that stuff is the only thing that really ends up damaging me that much. Next up is the Ghost-type Elite Four member, Phoebe. Remember earlier when I said I wouldn't be using Taunt? I didn't think I would need to, but then I'm like, you know what? I should probably just use it anyway. I'm going to use it on the Dusclops to actually block the turn 1 curse, which thankfully it was about to use. Then I can use 1 Swords Dance, and then just spam Thief on her entire team. Thief is better against the Ghost types than a Stab Psycho Cut. Plus the Sableye is immune to Psycho Cut anyway, so either way, I needed to use Thief. Next up is the Ice-type Elite Four member, Glacia. Glacia leads off with a Gallade. I now have Low Sweep back on my moveset. There's no need to set up Swords Dances. Her entire team is either a one-shot with Low Sweep or a one-shot with Thief. Next. The next Elite Four member is Drake, the Dragon-type user. He leads off with Altaria. I use 1 Swords Dance, which is enough for Psycho Cut to completely destroy his entire team, even though his Salamence does hit me with an Intimidate, but it doesn't end up mattering either way. And with Drake defeated, we gotta go take on Steven Stone. So let's go ahead and defeat the champion of Hoenn. Steven Stone leads off with Skarmory. I have a moveset overhaul. I have Psycho Cut, Thief, Rest, and Bulk Up. You may be wondering, hey Speed, why are you using Bulk Up instead of Swords Dance? Well, you see, I need attack boost for the Steven fight, and if I use Bulk Up, I get defense boost, which prevents moves like Aerial Ace and Steel Wing from doing much damage. And as soon as I set up to +5, get rid of the poison, I can actually defeat his entire team relatively easily. I mean, granted, the Skarmory and the Aggron both have Sturdy, so no matter what, they're going to be 2 hits. But when I defeat those two, the Claydol is a one-shot with Thief, the Cradily and the Armaldo are both one-shots with Low Sweep, and then I can use Thief to one-shot the Metagross. And starting Generation 6, Metagross gained a weakness to Dark and Ghost moves because of how Steel-type interactions were changed. But with Steven Stone defeated, we first tried the Elite Four and Champion. But hold on though, we are not finished with this run yet. I don't end my Omega Ruby runs until after I defeat Zinnia in the Delta episode. The Delta episode really isn't that eventful. You're just going from like the Space Center to the Devon Corporation, Meteor Falls, Granite Cave, and even the Magma Hideout again. While I am at the Magma Hideout, I have to remember to grab the Master Ball to catch the Rayquaza with. One of the biggest mistakes I made in my Gardevoir stream was actually forgetting the Master Ball, so I had to go backtrack from the top of Sky Pillar to get it, so I wasted a couple of minutes doing that. The only eventful major fights here are the final battle against Wallace with his Emerald Champion team, as well as the battle against Zinnia at the top, because obviously the Zinnia fight is when I end my run. The Wallace fight against his Emerald team really wasn't that hard at all. His Wailord turn 1 likes to use Heavy Slam instead of the old days where it liked to use Water Spout. And as soon as we get to the top of Sky Pillar, we're going to be having a moveset overhaul for this fight as well. We're going to go into the fight with Psycho Cut, Calm Mind, Rest, and Swords Dance. I'm going to be using Calm Mind for special defense boosts, so why don't I go ahead and just finish this fight and end the run. She leads off with Goodra, and I send out Rayquaza. I have to swap in Zigzagoon in order to get a clean switch in on the Gallade. And then as soon as I get to the Goodra, the very first thing I am going to do is set up Calm Minds to gain some special defense. Her moves weren't doing that much damage to me anyway, but better to just be safe than sorry. And as soon as I set up 3 Calm Minds and 3 Swords Dances, I could just sweep her entire team, but I wasn't sure if I outsped her team. But looking back at it, I actually do. Her Noivern has 141 speed, and I have 160 speed. This is another benefit of the naive nature. I think without it, I would probably not outspeed this thing. And if you're wondering why the overlay says 159, these are the stats of Rayquaza because it was forced into slot 1. But once Goodra goes down, the rest of her Pokemon can go down with Psycho Cut as well, and Gallade can defeat the Mega Salamence and finish the run and clock in, with a real time of 1 hour, 45 minutes, and 22 seconds, with 2 resets, 2 blackouts at level 67, with a game time after the Delta episode credits of 6 hours and 58 minutes. So yeah, Gallade is an absolute powerhouse. The main problems with this run were I had to use Struggle early on for the first Team Magma Grunt with Poochyena, and it took a while to get some great stab coverage. But looking back at this run, I think what I should have done was actually buy Low Sweep over Bulldoze and just set up an extra Swords Dance on Flannery. Or better yet, I should not have bought the Odd Incense right away, because I have to backtrack to Slateport anyway during the Team Magma session where they steal the submarine, and I can just buy both Low Sweep and Bulldoze at the same time. This would have allowed me to actually get a way better moveset earlier on, and just teach Bulk Up right away, just in case I don't get Swords Dance for Maxi. But if we take a look at the leaderboard, Gallade actually gets 4th place overall. It did better than Dusknoir, and obviously way better than Gardevoir. And even though I did make a bunch of bad mistakes with Gardevoir, I don't think it was 8 minutes and 40 seconds worth of mistakes. So if both of these Pokemon had optimized re-rankings with damage ranges and stuff, I still think Gallade would have came out on top. Swords Dance is a way better setup move than Calm Mind. But anyway, Gallade was not able to outperform the ranks of Hydreigon, Lunatone, and Garchomp. Garchomp had Swords Dance and great coverage, Lunatone had the fast level up group and early Calm Mind with Moonblast, get it because it's a moon, and Hydreigon had access to Workup, which is also a very useful setup move. In my opinion, better than Calm Mind. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more, and be sure to follow me on my socials or support the channel through YouTube memberships. YouTube members get access to the patch files for all the Backport Mega Evolution Pokemon we do on stream, as well as access to members-only content. Right now, my most recent members-only video was actually when Scott's Thoughts and I raced each other in Pokemon Crystal with Voltorb. We did it in his solo-running Discord server, and other people were allowed to come in and chit-chat. So if you want to see that video, become a member today. Next week, we're going to be going back to Sinnoh. We're going to be playing through Pokemon Pearl. We're going to be playing the game with 2 Team Galactic Pokemon, Purugly and Skuntank. I think these 2 Pokemon are going to do relatively great. I mean, they were great when Mars and Jupiter used them. Hopefully we can get that kind of experience when we use them ourselves. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.